Babies are skipping developmental milestones. They're not doing enough tummy time. They're not crawling. They're not moving in their environment naturally. They're in containers, and they aren't developing their ocular motor skills that way as well. And vision leads movement. Yeah. So you think about babies who are delayed, look at their eyes. What are their eyes doing? I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica. And this is All Things Sensory by Harkla.
We are both certified occupational therapy assistants, and together with Harkla, we are on a mission to empower parents, therapists, and educators to help raise confident and strong children of all abilities.
On this podcast, we chat about all things sensory, diving into special needs, occupational therapy, parenting, self-care, overall health and wellness, and so much more.
We are here to provide raw, honest, and fun strategies, ideas, and information for parents, therapists, and educators, as well as other professionals to implement into daily life.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey there, welcome back to All Things Sensory by Harkla. We're so thrilled to have you back for this amazing episode today.
It's not unique anymore.
No, it's amazing. I am Rachel.
I'm Jessica.
And we are both certified occupational therapy assistants and certified primitive reflex clinical specialists. And we are very passionate about spreading the word about ocular motor skills and their connection to just daily success, as well as primitive reflexes.
Before we go into today's topic, I'm going to read a comment that we got on Spotify. We love checking reviews and comments that people leave, and I just wanted to read this one because we thought it was really great. Yes. This is from Rel. I greatly appreciate your podcast. Thank you so much for advocating for children and unaware adults who have autism or SPD. I grew up very poor in various unstable living situations, anxiety-stricken, and with one parent as the oldest of 7. My son has a sensory processing difference. I was in disbelief that my son needed an IEP or a diagnosis for autism or SPD. I came around once I stopped looking to shield my son the way I was not shielded, but rather to help him in the way he needs to be.
Oh,
I just think that's so great because sometimes we talk about the tools and strategies as a way to like help our kids because they're struggling so much, and we almost look at it in like a negative way, but it can be such a positive spin when we're like, no, we're helping them feel more confidence, feel successful, feel regulated and happy, and it's such a positive thing.
It is. So here's your reminder. Pause this episode, leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube, wherever you're at. We really appreciate your feedback.
Yep. Okay. So today we're going to talk about home exercise program activities for ocular motor skill development, and we'll answer a listener question at the end.
So one thing we always like to say when it comes to ocular motor skills is that it's not just visual acuity. Oh, yeah, my kid passed the screening at the nurse's office. They can see 20/20. Woo woo. We're doing great. We're crushing life. We're thriving. That was me for the longest time. I was like, I can see so great. Things are going well. The eyes are perfect, yada, yada. But we're missing out on this whole component of ocular motor skills. Are the eyes working well together, fluidly, consistently? And there's so much that goes into it. We're just going to give you the basics today because we are not vision specialists. We are therapists who incorporate functional ocular motor activities into our sessions. So a brief overview on ocular motor skills and what to look for, what to look at, what to look for.
The first one here is saccades or saccades. Different people pronounce it differently.
I still say saccades or saccades.
Well, that's because
every time
when we used to talk about this and we used to only say saccades, people would be like, "Oh, but I say saccades. Is that the same thing?"
Saccades is just so
want to make. Yeah, somebody's going to get mad at you for that. However you want to pronounce it is fine. This is the ability for both eyes to move or jump between two stationary objects in a smooth, fluid, coordinated way. So for a child in the school setting, they need to be able to look up at the board and down at their paper, back up, back down without losing their place. We also use saccades when we're navigating our environment, walking through a busy grocery store and looking between people and shelves and objects, making sure that we're not going to run into anything.
Very overwhelming. Yes. And then we have pursuits, which is smooth visual tracking between objects. So you think about, what's a fun example?
Playing balloon volleyball, watching the balloon volleyball as it moves.
Popping bubbles, being able to visually keep your eyes on a moving target without moving your head within your environment. So are you consistently losing your place, or is your child consistently trying to follow the bubbles, but they can't keep their eyes locked in on one specific bubble? That's a very specific example.
Very specific bubble.
I don't know how that's impacting them functionally for that one.
It is functional for kids. It's play. And then the third area that we often talk about, we always talk about and we focus on, is convergence and divergence. And this is, you're able to go cross-eyed and I guess uncross-eyed. Both eyes being able to converge or come together as something comes towards you, and then to diverge. Wow, talking is hard. And then to diverge and move away. And this is combined with visual tracking. In order to have successful convergence and divergence, you also have to be able to visually track the object.
So when kids are struggling functionally, they'll have a hard time with sports, with reading, with writing, with copying from the board, with playing catch, with navigating their environment safely. And so that's when we are wanting to make sure that we're addressing these underlying ocular motor skills.
Something even so simple as like reaching for a toy. I'm just thinking in the clinic, I work with a couple of toddlers, and oftentimes we'll do just really simple like matching, puzzle, container play activities, and I'll hold an object up, above their head, and they have to reach and grab it. And that requires a lot of ocular motor and hand-eye coordination development. Another one would be recently we did there was a word search and find, and I was having my clients find all of the letters for their name. So for me doing it, I would circle all of the J's on the page, and that being able to have good visual attention and look between all of the letters to find the one I need. Lots of ocular motor skill development there.
And two, I think about, I really enjoy looking at saccades and just simply holding up two fingers, 8 to 10 inches apart, and having the child look from one finger to the other without moving their head. The clients that I'm seeing right now they're moving their eyebrows, they're overshooting, they're undershooting, they are moving their entire head. They cannot move their eyes independently from their head. And you think about how negative that's going to be on their ability to get through their day. That's so frustrating. And it's so wild to have ask a child to do that, and they literally cannot even look but one object to the other without moving their head.
Yeah. And we could dive into why does this happen? What is the underlying cause for these ocular motor skills to not develop? Because shouldn't the ocular motor skills develop through infancy and toddlerhood and childhood? And the answer is yes, they should. So what are the underlying factors that are causing this to happen? I think number one, don't get mad at me, but I think too much screen time.
Why would we get mad at you? That's what the research shows.
Because some people don't like that answer.
I know.
But having a child looking at a screen for a good chunk of their day, looking at that 1 or 2D visual input versus, I'm pretty sure it's 1 or 2D. I don't remember. Versus looking up and engaging with their 3D environment in the real world, that is going to negatively impact their ocular motor skills. And we are seeing children younger and younger ages on the screens more often than not. So that is going to have a direct impact. We see a direct impact between ocular motor skill development and primitive reflexes. And we know, again, from the research and from our clinical experience, that primitive reflexes are being retained more often in our children, impacting these developmental skills, including ocular motor skills.
Even developmental milestones. Babies are skipping developmental milestones. They're not doing enough tummy time. They're not crawling. They're not, moving in their environment naturally. They're in containers, and they aren't developing their ocular motor skills that way as well. And vision leads movement. So you think about babies who are delayed, look at their eyes. What are their eyes doing?
Yeah. So as
Wait,
therapists,
I should say there are other underlying neurological things, other diagnoses, a lot of other ocular motor areas that we are not trained to talk about, like strabismus or lazy eyes, or like that type of stuff, where it's like you actually do need an eye doctor to address these things and make sure that they are working on that,
or something, surgery or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're not talking about those children. We're talking about the children who are skipping milestones, who have retained primitive reflexes, who are struggling,
who have diagnoses like ADHD.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so as therapists,
what are we talking about?
I know, I was like, what was I going to go into again? As therapists, we love to work on this in the clinic setting. You can do this in the home health setting, private practice, outpatient practice. We love to incorporate therapeutic activities that specifically address ocular motor skill development. But one thing that we have talked about in past episodes is the importance of home exercise programs and the importance of doing these activities, doing these exercises on a daily or every other day basis versus just once or twice a week in therapy. So we want to talk about how to give these activities as home exercise programs, how to do these at home in a fun, playful way.
Exactly. So keeping in mind that consistency, that's key. We're going to give you some activities today. We don't want you to feel overwhelmed. We don't want you to go like, what do I do? Here's a good place to start. We have a YouTube video that covers screening, like quick screening of ocular motor skills. We'll link that in the description, in the caption, in the whatever platform you're listening to. We'll link that. You're going to watch that video. You're going to kind of do a quick screen on convergence and divergence, saccades or saccades, and pursuits. And then you're going to say, oh, wow, okay, my child really struggled with saccades. And then you're going to go to our assessing primitive reflex YouTube video, which we have that. We'll link it for you so you can do that. You'll do some quick screens on primitive reflexes. You'll realize, wow, their tonic labyrinthine reflex is significantly retained. So then we're going to do some of those reflex integration activities for the TLR, and we're also going to work on our saccades, and we're going to do some of the activities that we're going to share with you today. So that's your treatment plan,
your home exercise
program. So let's start with saccades or saccades.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's too far. It's not funny anymore.
It is funny, but I just am imagining people getting pissed off.
I know.
I was going to comment too really quickly. This is not designed for toddlers, like the activities that we're talking about. A couple of them could be used with toddlers, but we're talking about more like school-age children, 4 or 5 and up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Disclaimer, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
So, saccades, we are going to do Spot It, and Spot It is a fantastic game if you don't have it already. We do recommend ordering it because you can use it for so many underlying things. It's a fantastic game. And there are tons of different versions. There's like Paw Patrol, there's Numbers, there's the original, there's Disney, there's Numbers, there's Letters, there's, superheroes. And so you're going to hold 2 cards up in front of your child. Just like I did with this test, you're going to hold those 2 cards up in front of your child, and you're going to have them look between the 2 cards trying to find which 2 pictures on the cards match. There's always a match on all of the cards.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that.
I think about that all the time.
Genius.
That's crazy. So you can hold it horizontally, you can hold the cards vertically so they're looking up and down between them. Oh, that was really weird with the light. You can hold them diagonally in both positions. And so that's just a really simple, basic way to work on saccades with Spot It.
Yep. The next one is like a card letter find. Basically, you're going to put flashcards on the wall. If you don't have flashcards with like letters and numbers, you can make your own DIY. Use painter's tape to create letters and numbers on the wall. And then you're going to have your child stand a couple feet away and do a couple of different things. Maybe use a flashlight or a laser pointer and find the letters, and use the laser pointer to hit the letter, spell their name, go through the alphabet, call out letter sounds.
Throw a ball at the letters.
You can try throwing a ball at the letters and catching it as it comes back. So we're really working on a lot of saccades with jumping between the letters. When you incorporate the ball, you're also going to be working on some visual tracking and convergence as well.
And then one other one we love that's really simple to do is just a visual chart. You can make this with stickers. So you take your piece of paper and then you can put stickers on the top left and the top right, and then underneath the one on the left and then on the right. And so you go down.
Two columns,
stickers that go all the way down, whatever you want to go. I always have to make things 10 times more complicated. Thank you, Jessica.
2 columns of stickers.
And so what you're going to have them do is read off the items on the stickers. So maybe they're animal stickers and they read dog, cat. I almost said tickle.
Going from left to right.
Left, right. Dog, cat, horse, bird. Dog, cat, horse, bird. I'm really struggling with this today. But we're moving left, right. And then you can also go top, bottom, like across.
2
top,
rows.
bottom. Yep.
Have 2 rows.
Whatever.
And go up and down.
Yes. I'm visualizing it in my head, but it's not getting from here
You're
to
doing
here.
a great job.
Very well.
You're doing a great job. Moving on to visual tracking or visual pursuits. The first activity idea we have here is to blow a pom-pom across the table. So you can do this with a straw or without a straw, you choose, and blow pom-poms across the table. Maybe you have a relay race. You and the child start at the same time, ready, set, go, and whoever can get their pom-pom to the other side of the table first wins. You could also do pom-pom hockey. So maybe using some painter's tape to make some hockey goals on either end. You have the one pom-pom in the middle and you blow it back and forth and try to score a goal.
Love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Or you put painter's tape on the floor and you have to blow it along.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Maze.
Yes.
It's a tough one.
Yes.
And then track the toy. This is a really simple one. It's not as functional, but it's beneficial. You hold your toy up or your light.
It is functional. It's not as like
Play-based,
right?
Yes.
It's more of like an exercise versus a game.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you're holding it up and you're having them visually track in different planes, doing your figure 8, your infinity loop, and you're just having them watch that object
as it moves. Keep it short and sweet. If your
Yes.
child really struggles with ocular motor skills, this activity will be hard. So keep it short and sweet.
Yep.
The next one is bubble play. So bubble tracking, blow bubbles, pop the bubbles with your fingers, get into a crab walk position and pop the bubbles with your feet. Whatever you want. Bubble popping, visually tracking those bubbles is a really simple way to work on visual tracking.
And then one of our favorites is to take a table and roll a ball across the table to the child who's on the opposite side, and they have a cup and they have to roll and catch the ball in the cup. And then you can make it harder by rolling 2 balls simultaneously and they have to catch each ball in each cup. Also works on saccades as well. But it's fun, it's motivating, the kids love it. You could also have them in a Superman position on the floor working on their tonic labyrinthine reflex, and you're rolling the ball to them and they have to turn the cup over and stop the ball on top of it, or stop the ball with the cup. Cover the ball with the cup.
Trap it.
Golly!
That is a good one. I like that.
It is a fun one.
For convergence and divergence, you can do pencil push-ups. This is kind of similar to the visual tracking one, where it's more of like an exercise versus a game, but you're just going to hold like a pencil or some sort of motivating object. I feel like sometimes a pencil is kind of boring for a kid. Holding up something that they want to be able to watch, and you're going to hold it away from their face and you're going to slowly bring it in towards their nose and then away and have them converge and diverge their eyes.
Yep. And then near far letter games. This is another one where you can tape your letter flashcards to the wall and you can have them all over on the big wall. And then you could be holding a visual in front of you that has letters as well, and you're reading the letters, and then you have to find it on the wall, and maybe you're circling it on the board on your paper once you find it, and so forth. So you're looking from the wall to the paper, or even if you have a visual on the wall, like a letter chart from our like balanced brain program, you have that on the wall and you're holding it and you're alternating reading one item from your handheld paper and then reading the first item on the wall and back and forth.
And the good thing about that one is it works simultaneously on convergence and divergence and saccades as well. And I love those 2-for-1s.
Yep.
Which this next one is also a 2-for-1. Zoom ball, one of our favorite toys, and you will be visually tracking the ball as it moves back and forth on the string. Also works on that convergence and divergence as it comes close to you, and then you open your handles, the ball goes the other way, and you're diverging your eyes.
Yes. The next one is a more specific ocular motor activity. Is called a Brock string exercise. And so basically what it is there's 2 strings with 3 beads on them, and they have different colored beads, and they make an X. And so we'll put the link to this in the description so that way you can go and read the specific exercises. But basically you're looking from the different colored beads along the string and moving them closer to you and farther away.
It's okay. Nobody's watching. It's fine. Everyone's just listening.
So it's more of like a specific exercise that you can do with focus on that convergence and divergence.
Yeah, we'll link it because that's a true like vision therapy exercise.
Yeah, we do an OT though too sometimes, but just something to add to your treatment plan.
Yep. Some other ideas would be like an eyes only, Simon says, completing mazes with just your eyes, or maybe your finger following along if needed. Balloon letter tap is another good one, writing all the letters of the alphabet on the balloon, and as you play balloon volleyball, you call out the letters that you see.
Yes, love that one. And then if we're going to chat a little bit about primitive reflexes, which we know there's a huge connection between primitive reflexes and ocular motor skills, we want to give you a few exercises that you can do as well. Focusing on the ocular motor component. So one of them to work on the ATNR, you're going to get on your hands and knees into that quad position, and you're going to have maybe 3 visual charts. You can get these from our Balanced Brain program. If you have it, you can make them yourself. You can write them. You're going to put one down in front of you and then one on each of the walls on either side of you. And so you're going to be on your hands and your knees. You're going to turn your head to the left. You're going to read the first item on the chart, read the item in the middle, and then turn your head to the right and read that first item on the chart, making sure your ear is pointing to the ground, and you're going to go back and forth between those, adding that ATNR movement with the visual component as well.
I always like to disclaimer that activity because it can be very overstimulating because of the head rotation. Yeah. There's a lot of vestibular activation happening. So adults, make sure you try this activity before you ask your child to do it so you know what it feels like. Keep it short and sweet, and then make sure you do a heavy work activity right afterwards.
Yes. And then another exercise for the tonic labyrinthine reflex is the fly to the moon activity. So this, you're going to get into a Superman position on the floor. You're going to lift your arms and legs up off the ground, and one arm at a time, you're going to visually track moving it away down to your hip and then back up to the midline, and then doing the same on the opposite side, visually tracking that thumbnail the entire time.
That's a hard one.
It is.
Last one we'll leave you with is the cat-cow while reading a visual chart. So we know the cat-cow exercise from yoga, on hands and knees, looking up at the ceiling, looking down between your knees. Add 2 visual charts to this exercise. Put 1 visual chart on the floor in between your hands, or maybe back a little bit closer to your knees. Put the second visual chart on the wall in front of you at about eye level when you look up, and you will just alternate between reading those 2 visual charts as you slowly complete the cat-cow exercise.
Yes. Now, a few more tips that we want to leave you with. Keep these activities, these games, really short and sweet because the eyes will fatigue quickly, especially for our kiddos who really are struggling in these areas. So short and sweet, lots of praise, lots of positive reinforcement, and just keep it positive.
Yeah, you could use a visual timer to make sure that you're not doing it for too long. Maybe you time how long your child is able to complete the activity before they fatigue, and then you use that as a reference.
Fatigue or like elope or get silly. Like you'll see their behavior decline as well.
Are challenged. Yeah, and you can use that time as kind of a baseline. It's a good way to track progress, but it's also a good way to be like, all right, we did this activity for 45 seconds yesterday. Let's make sure we do it for 45 seconds today, keeping in mind that some days will be harder or easier than others, but it's a good baseline to also be able to track progress. And then have some sort of like motivational positive reward system chart if your child needs it.
Yes. And just keep in mind, when in doubt, rule it out. If you are concerned about your child's ocular motor skills, get a referral, go see a developmental optometrist, a neuro-optometrist, someone who's going to address those ocular motor skills, not just the visual acuity.
Yep. Very important.
And with that, I think that's it.
Okay, let's answer a listener question then.
Okay. Great.
Okay, listener question. My son is 2 and is still not sleeping longer than 2 hours at night. I'm very sorry. That sounds terrible. He's receiving speech, occupational, and developmental therapy 1 hour a week of each. He's very much a sensory avoider, hates water, won't stop breastfeeding no matter how much I distract him, won't get dirty in mud or dirt. Doesn't like to be around anyone else. He's very attached to me. I've tried cold turkey weaning, dripping feeds, and nothing helps.
Dropping feeds.
Oh, sorry, dropping feeds.
I think it was a type.
Very much nursing to be comforted, especially when nervous. I've tried weighted vests in the day, brushing, vibrating toothbrushes, compression shirts, weighted blankets at night, and nothing helps keep him asleep. He's notching up to biting and hitting his chin on everything. I have sensory beams and providing many ways to get input, but I don't think anything is helping. It's been 5 months that he's been in therapy and the progress is very, very, very slow. There are 3 varies there. My first thought is there is some connection between anxiety, possibly the Moro reflex. He doesn't feel safe. There's an attachment challenge that's happening. From that standpoint, I would highly recommend therapy for the parent. Just looking at attachment and relationships, and if this this 2-year-old is so attached, I'm assuming this is mom, is so attached to mom that they don't like to be around anyone else. They're nursing for comfort. Highly recommend like a good therapist to start seeing. That's my first recommendation.
Yep. And then a few things I would rule out: sleep disordered breathing.
Yep. Tongue tie.
See if there's a tongue tie, see if the child is able to, think about a pacifier. A pacifier stimulates the vagus nerve.
Which is what the breastfeeding is doing. If the tongue is not getting up to the palate, the top palate, and sealing and stimulating the vagus nerve, that can lead to some of that anxiety as well. And so the breastfeeding could be that comfort because the breast is doing that and getting the stimulation to the vagus nerve that the child is seeking. I would also talk to your, OT developmental therapy. I would look at like rhythmic movement training for primitive reflexes like Jessica mentioned, because at 2, we're not going to be doing like some of the functional primitive reflex integration activities that we talk about in some of our courses, but doing more of like the rhythmic movements, the passive rocking, those types of activities can be beneficial rather than like, let's do a Superman position. Yeah, not at 2 years old.
They're not going to do that at 2. So those are my first 2 thoughts.
We do have our early intervention blueprint, which is a digital course for children ages birth to, we say 3 years old, but it could be for 4-year-olds too.
Depending on the child,
That would be really great to look into if possible, because we do talk about primitive reflexes and sensory strategies and tools and sensory development. And that might be able to give you more specific ideas on what sensory strategies and tools to use.
I'm also thinking too, you've done a lot of the things, the weighted vest, the dry brushing, the vibrating, the compression, the weighted blankets. Maybe looking at something like advanced brain technologies, like a listening program, and see if we can regulate the nervous system auditorily, or music for babies. That's another program that doesn't require like the headphones on, but that could be something too.
My assumption is that this child is probably a very picky eater. So that's going to have a huge impact on development. So we want to look into the picky eating and what we can do to help that. How much outside time is this child getting? Are you guys going outside every day, multiple times a day if possible, versus being at home, sitting on the couch or sitting in the playroom? But going outside is going to be super helpful.
Okay, and this last one is really hippy dippy, but it's something that I have implemented, and I think it could be something to look into. We haven't really talked about this on the podcast.
No, I'm so curious.
So I am learning more about EMFs and Wi-Fi and that type of thing. Some kids are really sensitive to that sort of wavelength. And so maybe turning off your Wi-Fi at night, turning off your power at night. I just recently got a Wi-Fi shut-off switch that I plugged our Wi-Fi into because our Wi-Fi is like right next to our room. My son has been coming into our room, sleeping literally right next to the Wi-Fi. And I have like the tester too, and it's like all over the place. It's like crazy. And I've started, since I've turned it off, I don't want to say like I've noticed a difference, but I like kind of have noticed a difference.
Yeah.
In just like his happiness and his regulation, and just like he just feels like not as wound, like tightly wound.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna go that route, then we may as well talk. We may as well talk about food dyes, processed foods, water filtration,
air purifier.
Working
this just got really expensive.
Working with a functional medicine practitioner.
I actually do. I think that would be a really good route to go as well. Ruling out nutritional deficiencies, heavy metals.
If you are the person who asked this question and we're overwhelming you with so many things that we are giving you, re-listen, write down the things we're talking about, and then pick one that you can start with.
Yes.
And because then work your way through.
Sometimes it's so much more than just like a sensory strategy. You've tried all the sensory strategies. The sensory strategies may not be working. So then we need to go to a different route. Have we addressed the primitive reflexes? Okay, that's not working. Now let's go to X, Y, and Z and try those. So it's not always a sensory fix when we're having a sensory challenge.
Yeah, that's true.
So
hopefully it was helpful.
Wow, we went off the deep end.
I mean, I've been going off the deep end lately in my own life, so we may as well. May as well. If this episode was helpful, if you enjoyed it, if you want to ask us a question, you can fill out the form below, but also make sure that you subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Make sure you send this podcast to a friend. What else?
Leave us a review. We appreciate your reviews. We appreciate your feedback. Just, share the love, take a screenshot, share this episode with someone if it was helpful, or someone who maybe you're concerned with. Or if you're a therapist and you're like, hey, I want to work on these activities with my client at home, send this podcast to a client. Say, this is a really great episode to listen to.
There you go. Okay. With that, we will be back next week.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much for listening to All Things Sensory by Harkla.
If you want more information on anything mentioned in the show, head over to harkla.co/podcast to get the show notes.
If you have any follow-up questions, the best place to ask those is in the comments on the show notes, or message us on our Instagram account, which is at Harkla_family or at All Things Sensory Podcast. If you just search Harkla, you'll find us there.
Like we mentioned before, our podcast listeners get 10% off their first order at Harkla. Whether it's for one of our digital courses or one of our sensory swings, the discount code SENSORY will get you 10% off. That's SENSORY.
Head to harkla.co/sensory to use that discount code right now.
We are so excited to work together to help create confident kids all over the world. While we make every effort to share correct information, we're still learning.
We will double check all of our facts, but realize that medicine is a constantly changing science and art.
One doctor or therapist may have a different way of doing things from another.
We are simply presenting our views and opinions on how to address common sensory challenges, health-related difficulties, and what we have found to be beneficial that will be as evidence-based as possible.
By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or your child.
Consult your child's pediatrician or therapist for any medical issues that he or she may be having.
This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast.
Thanks so much for listening.